Well, hello. Oliver is going to join us for 60 seconds or however long he's going to stick around here. Yeah? Gonna read? Gonna help me read the book? No, probably gonna make it a little more difficult. Yeah. But, we're back at it. Sorry about last time, I had to cut it off because of batteries. I have ordered new batteries, so there's that. Yay, they're not here yet. I'm drinking another tea today. It's Tingle's tea, the organic lavender white, because I believe I was drinking the chai last time. Bad memory. But if you're interested, this tea was developed by a physician who's into ASMR, which my other channel is ASMR, which is how she found me. And it's organic and free trade. Sorry, I'm like a little distracted with Kitty. Yeah, organic and free trade, fair trade, and benefits a low-income clinic, and you can get it in nice reusable tins. And she's got multiple flavors, and let's see if I can do this with one hand. I think it can take another minute or two before I take that out. But let's get started, shall we? How are we going to do this? We'll just read like this for now until you leave. We ended May 25th. I don't think I read May 25th. But I'll just read it again. Sunday. Went to Sunday school and church. I do enjoy going to church above all things. There is something so peaceful, so sweetly slow, I think, that quiets the soul and lifts one above the cares of life. Yes? You need the hand? Okay, we'll try. May 26th. A little awkward. Maybe I can move this a little forward here. Oh my, that was a noise. Eh. Okay, that's a little better. I'm feeling quite different from the above record from last year. It said sick all day, did not leave the house. Set out 38 seedling plants and sprayed and fertilized my needy plants. Ordered 2 mole traps to catch, don't play with the sound, to catch the moles that are undermining my flower borders. Ed made his first move toward building our new home by bringing up some books of plans. Go Ed, yeah. Yeah. I didn't mark this one. I think it's just about to garden. 28th, Mrs. Keith came by for me and we went to Lake Tandy fishing. I caught 3 fine bass and 17 perch. Something Ed left for Indianapolis to attend the auto races. I've heard of the Indianapolis auto races. I didn't know how long that had been going on. It's interesting. It's happening in 1930. May 30th. I am suffering with something poison from eating ham and salad dressing. My friend, Mrs. Jo Howard, died at 11 a.m. I never knew a sweeter, gentler woman. Don't eat that. I regret her death more than any friend I ever had. Mrs. Tandy, Mrs. Meechin, Dina, and I went out this afternoon to see her. She was so noble, so true. Her garden was her hobby. It was filled with rare trees, shrubs, and flowers. Before she died, she asked that I be given a Mexican pitcher wrought in flag blue and hinner pottery that I had always admired, which sat on her living room table. Saturday, May 31st at 9:30 a.m. I attended the funeral of Mrs. Howard, but did not go to the cemetery as I was feeling badly. Ed arrived from the races at noon, and we went to Lake Tandy and spent the afternoon fishing. The cool, fresh air, tempered by the warm rays of the sun, was refreshing. And now we're into June. Sip of tea. Oh. I should take that out now. Honey, please don't eat that. No, I need the sound. Don't eat the cord. No. June 1st. I was expecting Lloyd and Gladys today, but Addie Hobbs called me and said that Gladys would sing a solo over the radio at 5:30, so I listened in and was delighted with her voice. It made me homesick to see her after hearing her. I'm very proud to know that she had this chance for an audition and hope that it will encourage her to go on with new zest in her music. Now, I've tried to look up Gladys, what's her last name? I think it says at the beginning here, Gladys Gladys Lynch, because I was curious if she actually, made a career in music. I have no idea how old she is or was, but I'm very curious because apparently she can sing and was on the radio. So if anyone else can find her. I think I found a different woman. It wasn't her, but I'd be very curious to hear her. June 2nd, not feeling well. Mrs. Hancock came over and I went into the garden with her, and the sun made me sick. Ed employed an architect to draw plans for our house. Mrs. Walter Trice called. Oh, yes. You want to take over the video? It can be just about you. Yeah. You can have a video if the people want it. June 3rd, a sleepless night, and did not get up until 8:30. Ed had eaten his breakfast and gone. At noon, Dr. Stone called and gave me medicine. I sewed poppies, candy tafts, etc. in my lettuce bed. Not sure. Please don't eat it. Don't eat the cord. Ooh. June 4th. Suffered until noon with dull cramps in my stomach. Dr. Stone had me take something, soda water, and I got immediate relief. Yes? Mr. Howard and daughter called. He wanted to rent a room. I offered him one gratis. June 5th. Feeling better and attended the meeting of the garden club at 10 a.m. Came by the store to leave a bouquet consisting of 12 different flowers gathered from my garden for exhibition. Oh, honey, I need my arm. Don't touch the phone. That's not something you should play with right now. Where are you going? No, you can't take that. No, you can't take that. No. My goodness. My goodness. Yes, go play with your other toys. He grabbed the wire and tried to take it with him. Not cool. Gotta keep an eye on this wild one. Okay. Actually, it's kind of nice right there. It came at noon, and despite my feelings, I went fishing with him. But that doesn't look so good. I'm looking in my little... Okay, I look better like this, huh? I face the camera. June 7th. Feeling better, and again Ed and I went fishing. Mr. Howard took possession of the room I offered him. Boy, they move quick. Church. Rested and played bridge with the old hams. Ed called to go fishing. These are just like one-line entries. Meh. Planting seeds. June 12th, had a slight rain last night, and I set out seedlings all morning and had Johnny weed and clean up all my flower borders. The dry weather is ruining my garden in spite of the fact that Ed takes a delight in sprinkling it every evening with the hose. June 13th, spent the day studying house plans and garden plots for our new home. I did not like the plans the architect submitted. What were they? What'd they look like? Actually, I showed you a picture of the house last time, or two videos ago. I was kind of surprised at how small it was. Maybe it's really deep. I was expecting something bigger, like 2 stories, and yeah, I kind of wonder about the layout of that house and what the inside looks like. June 15th, we refused an invitation to lunch at the Latham, and I spent the day resting. This is one of those holy days when all nature seems hushed and listening. The earth and sky and air as if something divine is about to happen. A glorious day. Oh, summer. I don't know what it's like in Kentucky, but once in a while I just think about summer in Pennsylvania. And just like these humid, still days. Not that I like humidity so much, but I don't know. Just reminiscing about those summer vacations. I left Pennsylvania at 18. So anytime I was not in school, I was kind of doing what I wanted. You didn't have to think about rent or bills. I didn't really have a cell phone. And I don't know. I'm sure I'm remembering it incorrectly. But I'll try to remember the good parts at least. June 16th, spent the morning setting plants. My diary is becoming merely a record book. I find no time to express myself in words, only in deeds. I understand that, yes. I feel like if someone read my diary, they really wouldn't get a full idea of what's going on in my life. Mrs. Stone, Mrs. Hancock, and I went to the meeting of the Women's Democratic Club at Hotel Latham. It was very interesting. The crowd consisted of the substantial women of the town with a few socialites. Sorry, I had to get up there for a minute. I kind of wiped my nose and wiped my lipstick across my face and had to fix that. June 19th, spent the morning cleaning and polishing my shoes. I find myself the possessor of 14 pairs. A pair for every costume and then some. You know, I need less shoes. I have too many. I went crazy, when I was living in LA and had Crossroads Trading Company and just gathered up so many shoes. But I don't wear them all. I'd like to. They're nice shoes. I have nowhere to go, especially this year. I have way too many shoes. Yeah. June 20th, our garden club gave a flower show in the yard of Miss Sally Campbell's. It was quite a brilliant affair. I had an exhibit of 42 different varieties of flowers and won first prize on variety. I won second prize on the best exhibit of blue flowers and also second prize on my Monardia exhibit. The above record of the garden club should have been written on the preceding day. Ed arrived at 11 a.m. and we decided to spend the weekend at Kentucky, so we packed up our groceries and 100 pounds of ice and left at 3:30. That's a lot of ice. 3:30 p.m., our first night this season. In the hurry and fret of our lives, it is always a solace to go to the cabin, into the solitude of nature where many voices speak comfortingly and inspiring to our soul. Here we can commune with nature, roam through the woods, the fields and hills that imparts to us a sense of quiet and silent majesty of God's universe. Very nice. June 21st, Kentucky is really beautiful. It is a 6-room cottage with porches in front and back. On the north side, it has a screened-in porch, which overlooks my hillside garden, which is planted in a rare shrubbery and beautiful flowers. The house is built of shiplap, painted white and striped with black, with door and window facings black. All the furniture is in white and black. The house nestles back in a forest of wild cherry trees, interspersed with cedars, dogwood, and locust. The hillside garden, toward the front, is banked by Dorothy Perkins roses and lavender hardy sweet peas. In front of the house is a bed of tea roses and blue delphinium, purple larkspur, and yellow cut and come. On the south side is the broad concrete driveway leading to the side entrance of the house and to the garage. This is a grass plot and a flower border of perennials and annuals. Beyond this is an open grass plot with two beautiful apple trees, which rise by a terrace to the orchard. Along the entire front of the orchard and yard is a flower border 20 feet wide, filled with shrubs, roses, annuals, bulbs, and perennials. It is my dream of a fairy place come true. I'd love to find that place too, you know? Does that still exist? I did try to look, on Google Maps and stuff, but I didn't have any luck. If you want to play investigator and find it, oh my goodness, if it still existed, it probably isn't painted the same, but June 22nd, we arrived from Kenjiketi at 2:30 p.m. I found my orange-colored glads, blue summer asters, and pink astable had stolen a march on me and bloomed while I was away. Mrs. something came over for some of my travel books. June 25th, very warm and sultry. I washed my white crepe dress in Lux, got very warm, and was feeling badly all afternoon. Okay, I better stop now because the camera's going to stop me. Almost through June, that's nice. And I apologize for any noise outside. I don't know what they're doing out there. There's a truck, it's doing some kind of thing at the neighbors, I guess. It was very noisy this morning with beeping and everything, and I thought they were done, but they're not. Well, I'll put some music over this. So, all right, be right back. All right, I'm back. June 26th, was in Louisville to see the comic opera entitled Chimes of Normandy. That was in 1899. I might have read that last time. I kind of remember reading that last time. Oops. So back to 1930. While feeling rather indisposed, yet I went to the ME Church at 9:30 a.m. and gave a 45-minute travelogue on Palestine before the junior church school. Thence to the doctor to have my blood test taken, which was found all right. The doctor did not prescribe for me, but told me to go home and go to bed. I was unable to go to the women's Bible class picnic. June 27th, have had stomach cramps nearly all day. Mrs. Hancock spent the morning with me. June 28th, I was in the program to introduce Mrs. Emma Guy Cromwell, who is to speak before the Democratic Women's Club at a luncheon today at Hotel Latham, and in spite of cramps, I got up and went. I esteemed it quite an honor to be selected to introduce the speaker, since there are so many women in the club who are more prominent in the political field than I. I got home at 2 p.m. and found Ed anxious to go fishing, so I changed my luncheon gown for a knicker suit and went. June 29th, went to church. Evangelist House made an address before the men's and women's Bible classes. He is a young man with a very impressive personality. It just seems that Ed and I can never get together on the plans and specifications of our contemplated new home. It is a source of irritation. I am beginning to feel the effect of this worry. June 30th, had a restless night worrying about the building. Arose early and spent an hour weeding and cultivating my flowers. I am beginning to realize that, after all, our real needs are so very few. Most of our unhappiness comes from the craving for things we do not need. If we could learn to appreciate or appropriate our simpler blessings, maybe she meant appreciate, and try to grow rich in the graces of mind and heart, we would find true happiness. Oh, she gives us such wisdom. July 1st. Spent the day reading and planning the house, making measurements according to furniture, windows, doors, and radiators. Ed wants all this left to the architect and builders. Wonder who the architect is. Gardening. July 3rd at 9 a.m. The members of the garden club visited my garden. Thence to Mrs. Will Hancock's, thence to Mrs. Davidson's, where we were served frappe and cakes. After a short business session in which I made a motion that was seconded by Mrs. Mentley, that we elect Mrs. Davidson honorary member of the club, and which received a unanimous vote. The club adjourned. I was gratified when the president declared my garden the most artistic of the 3 most beautiful gardens of the town. Good golly, what are they doing out there? And why is it always when I want to record things? July 4th. I still have this marked like at 1898. She said something, but I must have read that before. I'll read it again, because maybe I didn't, and it's fun. 1898, I read the Declaration of Independence and made a talk at the Bardwell celebration. I recall that it was one of the most miserable periods of my life. Mother had died, and I was on my way to visit her relatives in Butler County. 1930, the Mackenzies prepared delightful eats and invited us to spend the day with them at Lake Tandy. I was almost too sick to go, but did not want to spoil the pleasure of the party, so I went and was on the lake in the boat all day. The sun did me good, and I enjoyed the day greatly. July 5th, went to the Dr. Stone this morning and was inoculated with typhoid serum. Very dry and depressing. Typhoid, huh? July 6th. Very warm. Did not go to church. Ed and I went over house plans in afternoon. Lizzie Taylor called. Ed and I could not agree on the servants' quarters for our home. The mercury is at 101 degrees. See, they're going to have servants' quarters, but it looked like a really small house. Sometimes one's hope sags and the superb belief in themselves dims. Now, at the crucial time of building the home, my nerves are on edge. July 7th, very warm, feeling depressed. Last night, the mercury never dropped below 75 degrees. It was the hottest night in 14 years. Ed came up from his office early and spent about 3 hours sprinkling the flower garden. Many of my plants are dying from the hot sun. I'd love to get through September today so we can make, 1930 a 4-parter, but boy, I'm going to stop out there. July 8th, all that I can say is that it is intensely warm, and all that I can do is sit or lie and endure it. The architect came up and went over plans again on July 9th. July 11th, the Mackenzies called up and wanted us to go with them to Red Brilling Springs. Ed and I talked it over. He felt like he could not leave his business, and I felt I could not leave my garden. After he went to town, I thought the matter over and decided that we should go. So I called Mrs. Mackenzie and told her she could depend on us going. Then I called Ed and told him what I had told her. Poor Ed. I washed one dress and pressed 4. Got too warm. Come on, Ed, we're going. What? July 12th. Got up in a dazed condition, not able to separate fact from dreams. Mrs. Mackenzie came by for me to go to town with her, but I was not able. She went for Ed and brought him up. He called Dr. Stone. He gave me another typhoid shot, and for the pains in my arms he prescribed aspirins every 4 hours until I had taken 8. I assured him the pains were rain pains, lounged around, not feeling able to finish packing. After dinner we went to the store. I got a dress and a few other articles of wear and went to bed sick. The mercury is standing at 106 degrees. It's July 13th. Here I am at Red Boiling Springs. We had a soaking rain last night, which relieved the intense heat to some extent. The day was cloudy and the motor trip was delightful. We arrived at 11 a.m. After lunch, I retired and was unable to get up and dress before 5 p.m. After dinner, I was introduced to some charming people. And then she says no. After some entries, I see the word no, and I don't know what that means. July 14th, it rained last night and turned cool enough to make light wraps necessary today. Mrs. Wynne, whom I met at Dawson Springs 16 years ago, and her husband arrived last evening and joined our party. This morning they took a motor trip to the lake and around town. The rest of our party are having a good time playing golf, bowling, and cards. I am trying to rest and quiet my nerves. July 15th, retired to my room at 9 a.m. and rested until luncheon. Retired again at 1:30 and rested until dinner. Retired for the night at 8. No. I'm really sick. Don't feel like taking part in the gaieties around the hotel. July 16th, I took a vapor bath at 11 a.m. and felt better. Retired at 1. Mrs. J.G. Brown of Lebanon, Tennessee, I think. Mrs. R.M. Webb, 807 Clark Street, Nashville. And Mrs. W.B. Barker, Nashville, 118 30th Avenue, South. Are charming new friends I have made. Also, Mr. Hardwick of Louisville, who is 67 years old, is quite interesting. No. July 17th. Ed had a misery in his stomach last night and did not get up until 5 p.m. We had Dr. such and such with him. This morning I talked with Mr. William Taylor, names, 526 West Oak Street, Louisville. He's quite aged, but he has a brilliant mind and is a fine entertainer. I took my Turkish bath and I'm feeling better than usual. I can't seem to feel like my old self. I'm stupid and dull. Mrs. T. Cloyd of Horse Cave, Kentucky, is quite a favorite of the resorters. She is 79 years old with all of her faculties active and alert. No. July 18th. Oh, I need some tea. Please let them stop. I'm feeling better than usual today. I learned to play pitch with Mr. Hardwick. Mrs. Barker, who seemed to take a peculiar fancy to me, sent for me to come to her room. I found her nervous and excited, bordering on prostration. My heart went out to her. She is so human, so lovable and unassuming. No. July 9th, I took bath and massage and high enema and was almost overcome by the process. Late this afternoon, we played a game of golf. After dinner, we played a game of bridge. Oh, I just want to go on vacation with people and meet people. Oh, I just can't wait. July 20th, we left Red Boiling Springs at 8 a.m. and reached Hopkinsville as the clock struck 12 noon. I found my garden full of blooms, notwithstanding the dry weather. No. House plans down with us. We brought, maybe? But we never looked at them. July 21st, went to Dr. Stone and took a third inoculation. I'm very nervous and restless. Took a toddy, but it did not seem to quiet me. July 22nd. I don't have that written. She just wrote a letter. 23rd, I am feeling some better, but I discovered a small knot on my right collarbone, which has excited me. Spent the day drawing floor plans. Played bridge this evening. No. What's this? No. No. July 24th, the architect called and we went over the plans. How interesting and absorbing to plan one's own home and garden. I wonder why the Lord, who always knows best, has deprived me of this, my greatest joy in life, until I am feeble with age and lost my strength and eagerness. Indeed. Well, July 25th, Ed arrived last evening, and this morning we went over the plans with the architect. This afternoon, after making strenuous efforts to buy angleworms, we succeeded in getting 100 and went to Lake Tandy. July 26th, still the mercury stands above the 100 mark and still no rain. Too warm to dress for church. Mr. Walter, the architect. Mr. Waller, the architect. Go find him. Find Mr. Waller, the architect. Spent an hour with us going over the floor plans. This afternoon, the mercury reached 110 degrees. July 29th, spent the day going over catalogs and magazines, searching for ideas in building and decoration. The architect came and we went over the floor plans again. I find that it is a serious thing to plan a house. No. Oh my goodness, what's that? Sorry, some little scooter went by, I guess. July 30th, some cooler but still dry. The floor plans were completed and the architect went to work on the elevation. I want a house to look like my clothes, different from anybody else's, and to conform to no plans and patterns. I want individuality in all things. I have a cold in my head, first cold I have had for a year or more. No, I feel the same about my house, what I want. July 31st, I had Johnny to break up a flower bed over on my lot. Grass roots were too thick to plant seeds, so I shall use it to reset the plants. I am having my compost pile sifted and the dirt wheeled over to the lot. Dina and the children came by and we went to the country club and spent a few hours. The boys played tennis. This is the hottest month ever recorded here. From the 4th to the 30th, there was not a day that the mercury did not register at least 100 degrees. It is enervating, sapping my strength and vitality. I could imagine. Okay, read a little bit more and then I need to change the battery and the camera's going to stop. So Friday, August 1st, had a seed bed looked forked up this morning and turned the hose on it to wet it before planting. It seems that I am neglecting my friends and losing interest in social affairs. It must be the new the weather. The Mackenzies came by for Ed and I, and we went to the lake fishing. No. August 2nd, Ed, Fan, Lizzie, Miss Lottie, and Christine Kelly left at 11 a.m. for New York. I'm glad that the weather is some cooler. No. August 3rd, Dunman and 2 of his girlfriends motored over to see me. Den is looking like a man with a terrible malady. He is sick. He had the bone of his right arm scraped. It is tubercular. I went to the country club with Dina and family. Okay, so he's got tuberculosis. Sorry, I had an issue with the app that I'm using to control the camera with. That was the first time that's done that. Oh dear. Something's going on with the electronics in the house this week. Like, one by one, the computers and electronic things are failing. My room has not been hit quite yet, but... August 4th. The mercury went to 104 today. Everything is parching. No rain. It is alarming. I received a marked copy of the Clarendon something paper announcing the death of O.C. Galloway, who was one of my youthful sweethearts. He gave me a ring set with diamonds and pearls. I lent it to Gladys, and someone stole it. August 5th. Wrote a letter of condolence to Mrs. Galloway, a letter to Kit and Lloyd asking them to visit me while Ed is in New York. This afternoon, Mrs. Mackenzie and I went to see Clara Bow in True to the Navy. Spent evening with the Brownings. In my 62 years, I have never known such a drought. The fields are parched, the grass is yellow, gardens dried up. I cannot go into the garden or on the streets without the feeling of suffocation. I have drawn down all the windows, closed the doors to keep out the hot air. I can do nothing but read, write, and meditate with comfort. I think I have always been an enthusiast. There have been a very few days in my life that seemed slow and tiresome. It has mostly been exhilarating, changing, exciting, full of color and movement, and the longer I live, the more intense I live. Boy, to sit down and talk with her, that'd be so crazy, wouldn't it? I mean, that's not possible, but that'd be really wild. Okay, I'll read one more. I don't have these marked. I had a meeting at the garden club. August 8th. Could not sleep last night. I could find no reason for not doing so. Mrs. Keith sent me a most exquisite water hyacinth. I took Mrs. Browning a basket of gaillardia and some other flower. I let Johnny off to celebrate the 8th of August and cooked my own lunch. Had vegetable soup and cold watermelon. Went over to Dina's and listened in on Colonel Charles Lindbergh. Vegetable soup and watermelon, yes. All right, we're going to pause here for another commercial break, and maybe I'll wait a bit and see if they finish what they're doing outside. All right, I have been waiting for them to finish out there. They are not finished out there. I'm going to try to work around this. And I did notice looking in the mirror that the whole time my little collar was like tucked under. I've fixed it now. Sorry if that was bothering anyone. It would bother me. Okay. Where was I? Did I read August 8th? Yes, I did. So I might pause sometimes when they're dumping rocks to cut that out for you. But see how this goes. August 9th, the mercury registered 111 at 2 p.m., which is record-breaking in this part of the country. Have had to sit under the electric fan most all day. Had a card from Mary from Illinois State Park. August 10th, the church. No church today. Mr. Kingsbury is on his vacation. It rained meagerly last night, not enough to show on the ground this morning, but it turned some cooler. Mrs. Mackenzie and I went to Lake Tandy at 4 p.m. Quite a crowd was out in their boats, but the fish were not striking. Rock dumping. August 11th, much cooler, but still no rain. Had a letter from Ed stating that he was never before so alarmed over the condition of the country. The drought is almost general. The temperature dropped 50 degrees in 24 hours. In the last 28 days, the rainfall here has only amounted to 0.27 of an inch. Now, I'm not familiar with the whole Dust Bowl thing. I need to read up on that. But there was something going on in some part of the country with drought at this time. And I don't know if this is a part of it or something completely different. I don't know my history. I've tended to focus mainly on things that I'm like really interested in, or things that are just necessary for getting through life. Things that I need, and not so much general history, I guess. So, or general world events. I am not as informed as I would like to be. There's only so much time in the day. So, are they gonna dump more rocks? This is pretty annoying. August 14th, I ran the vacuum cleaner over the carpets upstairs while Johnny dusted, went marketing, and at 5 p.m. I met Ed and the girls at the train. Ed looked thin and tired. August 15th, I just read in the Kentucky New Era that Captain Hanks had broken Lindbergh's record by flying from Los Angeles to New York in 12 and a half hours. August 16th, planted more flower seeds. At 2 p.m., Ed and I went fishing, but the most unusual thing was that we did not catch a fish. Nothing on the 17th. August 18th, had another slight rain last night. My flowers are looking fine and putting out new blooms. Gave my Dell's lime and acid phosphate and nitrate of soda and sprayed the Bordeaux. Tonight my mind goes back to August 1913 when Sister Snook was staying with me and Gladys and Alan came. Sister, from some cause, had left George and her home and come to me. She was unhappy and disconsolate and threw a shadow over the pleasure of us all. Gladys and Alan were so fond of each other in a cousinly way, young and romping, and Sister seemed to resent our fun and frolic. Good health has much to do with amiability, and poor Sister was sick. August 19th, Johnny and I took sacks of manure to the lot to put in the flower beds. Mrs. Ella Casey called this afternoon. August 21st, the architect spent the morning with me going over the house plans. At 1:30 p.m., Dina and I went to the Alhambra to see Marilyn Miller in Sally. It was very good, but I still do not like the talking as well as the silent pictures. They are not as restful. Interesting. I think the truck stopped. Please. August 22nd, Ed came home last evening, and this morning we completed the plans with the architect. At 3 p.m., I went to Dina's and we played bridge with Madame Gaines and Keith. Oh, please tell me they're done out there, please. August 24th, went to church with the Morgans. I was so happy to get back to Sabbath school and preaching after a month's absence. Yes, I said that. Ed left for St. Louis at 9:44 p.m. Pondering the past, it seems that my entire life has been a trumpet summons to strength and achievement. I am ready to say that success is always possible to those who believe in themselves and make the effort. Divine help will come to us if we ask for it. I think of Longfellow's little poem, "Oh, fear not in a world like this, and thou shalt know ere long, know how sublime a thing it is to suffer and be strong." August 26th, Mrs. Mackenzie and I went to see Greta Garbo in Romance. It was a gripping story which reminded me of some of my youthful romances. Wrote to Maud, had a letter from Ed. August 27th, Mrs. Mackenzie and I went to see Paul Whitman in King of Jazz. It was a magnificent production, all movie tone, all technicolor, the actions lifelike in appearance and tone. Ed arrived at midnight. August 30th. There seems to be a lull in my activities today. Nothing seems pressing, which is unusual in my life. This afternoon, Ed and I went out to the lake with the Mackenzies. It was delightful on the lake, and we caught 11 fish. Anyone keeping a tally of how many fish he's caught? Now we're into September. September 1st. Today, unlike a year ago, everything at the cabin is parched and dead. But by constant watering, I have kept my garden here in town alive, and today I have 48 different varieties in bloom. I went fishing with the Mackenzies. September 3rd. Yeah, last time was that big long one I read last year. September 3rd, spent the most of the day sewing on buttons that Johnny breaks off of the clothes in the wringer when he washes. And I put straps in the shoulder seams of dresses. I think she meant to put in like a number of dresses to prevent the shoulder straps of my underwear from slipping over my arms. It is a new scheme for holding up straps. Planted delphinium seeds yesterday that came from plants ranging in price from $3 to $25. Oh my goodness. I don't know if I would... Yeah, wow, that's a lot. I don't have those marked. September 6th, we got up at 5 o'clock and went on the lake fishing. It was a glorious day and the fish were striking, and we decided to spend another night at the cabin. Spent the day resting. September 8th, Ed and I spent the entire morning going over the plans and specifications of our house with Mr. Waller. I was exhausted. At 3 p.m., I went to the Alhambra to see On With the Show. I was sick. Went to the cabin. Yesterday. September 10th, we fished until 10:30 p.m., came in and rested at the cabin, lunched, and went back on the lake. Gave the Oldhams and Brownings a mess of fish. I have many associates, acquaintances, and companions scattered all over the world, but great friendships are rare. Friendship is inspired by ideal and spiritual virtues, mutual unselfishness and solicitude. It is an affinity rooted in common ideals. These days of hurry, we haven't time to cultivate friendship. What would she think of it now, 100 years later, or 90 years later? September 13th, we arose at 8 a.m., or 3 a.m., 3 a.m., ate breakfast, and was on the lake before sunrise. It was glorious. The fish struck rapidly, and by 8 we had 15 nice striped bass and crappie. We were driven in by a rain cloud, which was a refreshing diversion. While it was a good rain, it was not a soaker. Rain on a hot summer day. September 14th, went to church this afternoon. Pearl Overby Wyatt, something her husband of Kevil called. She told me that Anna Bug Man lost her mind after she died. Before she died. Lost her mind before she died. That cousin Lou Robertson something had died suddenly, and that Willie Dance was very ill. September 15th, spent most of the day preparing my club lesson on Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass. The book is wonderful and absorbing. Had a very sad, distressing letter from Maud. September 17th, once more I feel the tang of fall in the air, as well as the return of energy and vitality after the depressing hot weather. This morning, Madame John Garnet, Browning, and Byers came over to get me to go with them at 5 a.m. in the morning to Lake Tandy fishing. While we were in the garden, Dina came, also Mrs. Wadlington, and we had a nice social visit. Had a letter from Gladys wanting me to drive down with Mr. and Mrs. Herbert Hobbs to see her. It's getting noisy out there. Can we finish September? September 18th, Madame John Garnet, Browning, Byers, and Hennard and I had a glorious day on the lake. I caught my limit of silver perch by noon. After a sumptuous lunch at the clubhouse, we went back on the lake and remained until dark. September 19th, Ed, Johnny, and I went to the cabin to spend the night. We went on the lake at 5 p.m. and caught 18 silver perch and striped bass. It was another day of fine sport that we often enjoy together. September 20th, Ed and I got up at 3 a.m. again, ate breakfast, and by 4 a.m. were on the lake again. caught 22 fish by 10 p.m., then we came back to town. September 21st, gathered basket of flowers and took them to church. Reverend Kingsbury had visitors from Australia. One of them, Reverend Thomas, delivered the sermon. The Mackenzies came by and we motored to Fairview. Long one. September 22nd. Life is full of many-sided interests. I wonder if I am not growing too old to try to keep the pace. But I had rather wear out than to rust out. I like that. I sat down this morning for a quiet hour with the poet Whitman and was absorbed in his Leaves of Grass. The telephone rang, Mrs. Mackenzie wanting to know if it was time to lift her gladiola bulbs and reset her seedlings. I had just resumed my seat when Dina called for information regarding the club study book. Then Mrs. Browning came in person, to plan a fishing party. She had just left when Mrs. Cook, teacher of the women's Bible class, called and asked me to make a talk before the class next Sunday on Ruth and Naomi and Deborah, which I consented to do. Then Mrs. Oldham came in, bringing me a box of lovely tomatoes and asking me to drop over and play bridge this evening, which I consented to do. Then a call over the telephone from Judge Wood asking where Ed was. I was just getting deeply interested in my reading when the nurseryman called to sell me some shrubbery and flowers. This afternoon I called on a sick neighbor. At 5 I went to the kitchen and fried chicken, creamed potatoes, made a tomato salad, roasted and salted a box of pecans, and had supper on by the time Ed arrived. That is a busy day. September 23rd, I sat down in my comfortable, overstuffed chair in the library this morning to prepare my club lesson. Dina came in for a little chat. Then Mrs. Browning called and asked me to take her place on the program this afternoon. It was a broad subject, poets as observers, but I consented, although I had but 2 hours to prepare it. At 2:45, how do you prepare that? At 2:45, Dina came for me, and we went to the club meeting. This evening, Mr. Howard came in and very ceremoniously presented me with a glass cream pitcher that his wife had bought at the Elizabeth Ney studio in Austin, Texas. It was a pitcher that Elizabeth had brought from France. September 24th, after receiving Maud's letter, I could not rest until I sent her some money. So this morning I wrote and sent her $25. I also wrote Jim Gilbert for my rent money, called on a sick friend, and spent the rest of the day reading. Old age, after all, is the full flowering of the years, the time of benediction, the crown and glory of life. I have spent my years well. I have stored my mind with treasures of knowledge, taste, and appreciation. Travel has filled the walls of my memory with beautiful pictures and made life beautiful. September 25th, I spent the morning studying the life of Ruth, Naomi, and Deborah. At 2:30, I took Dina to see In Gay Madrid with Ramon Navarro and Dorothy Jordan starring. It was splendid. At 5 a.m., Ed came in from Madisonville, where he had been invoicing with a high fever. I doctored him and put him to bed and watched him through the night. Short ones. September 28th, went to church, made my talk before the Bible class, and stayed for preaching. At 2:30, Dina and I went to the funeral of Mrs. Stein. Then we went to our lot in the cemetery to see the monument which has recently been erected and the place where my remains will be laid. Not without a pang can we look upon our eternal resting place. It makes death seem so sure. A simple double granite monument is erected there. Ed and Byron will lie side by side. I think I found Ed's tombstone. It's been so long. Whatever I found is over there. Did I find Adeline's? I think I might have found Adeline's. Monday, September 29th. It's a long one. Spent the morning downtown. Johnny and I got 9 sacks of manure for my gardens. At 12:30, Mrs. Mackenzie and I went fishing. I caught my limit of silver perch. Tonight my mind goes back over the span of years to my friend Ellen her, and her tragic life. She grew up in the lap of luxury. None had a more beautiful life before them. Ed Shelton was her one and only sweetheart. Both families approved of their attraction. Ed went off to school and became a doctor. They were to be married. He began drinking. The marriage was deferred from time to time, hoping he would quit the habit. In the meantime, Ori Shelton, a pretty, vivacious girl, attracted his attention. They were married. Ellen, heartbroken and humiliated, soon married George Sodford. Young as I was, I knew this was tragedy. Life has too many options to permit us complete confidence in our choice of a path, and she took the wrong one, not loving the man she married, but to cover her humiliation. When her second child was born, she sent for Dr. Shelton. He gave up all his patients and stayed with her night and day. The old love came back to both of them. She died, and he never drew a sober breath afterward, and soon followed her to the grave. Tragic. Well, that ends September. September 30th, spent the morning preparing my club lesson. Dina came and we studied together. Our club elected Mrs. Miller, a sister of Fred Wallace, to membership in the club to fill the place of Mrs. J.T. Edmonds, who resigned. And then she's got notes about her flowers at the end of September. So we're going to end there. Okay, we made it through. I hope that truck was not too disturbing. And we're just about to run out of time again. So there we go. Okay, we made it. And we've got one more reading of her diary to finish it. So I hope you've enjoyed it so far, and we get to finish that up and then wonder what else happened to Adeline after 1930. All right, so I will see you next time. Enjoy your week. Bye.